In the end of this video, you'll understand what is backend, how to use it, and why do we need it. We'll also build a simple web application in Python using FastAPI, the most useful and modern framework in Python. My name is Andrew. Let's start with this video. So once again, at the end, we'll build this simple as backend, but let's start with why do we need it. So whenever we want to create a web application, what we need is three things. We need HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We don't need any backend because HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is frontend. So let's say that we have this page. That is FastAPI documentation. So what we have here is elements. So we have this menu, we have this menu, we have this text, that link, this image, and all of that is HTML. So HTML basically tells you what you want to put on your page. So we want to put this text on our page. That is HTML. We want to put this link on our page. HTML. We want to put this image, we want to put this header, we want to put this button. All of that is HTML. But we don't want to have a simple website without any style. What we want to do is improve our design. We want to have a very beautiful website like this one. And what we do with styling is we use CSS. So HTML puts your elements on the page. CSS allows you to change colors, sizes, and all that stuff. So if we want to, let's say, if I want to have a cyan link, what I use is CSS. If I want to have a black background, I use CSS as well. Then we also have JavaScript. So HTML for elements, CSS for styles, and JavaScript for the logic. Whenever I press on this button, for example, on this bulb, what happens is my websites switch colors. So from dark theme to the light theme or vice versa. And we use JavaScript for that. So it's basically all the logic that we have. If I want to press on this button, this happens. If I want to press on this thing, it opens up. All of that is JavaScript. But there is one problem. What if we want to share this logic in between users? So all of that is static. What do I mean by that? Whenever we make a request, so let's say I press F5 and update this page like this. Whenever I make that request, what I get is a copy of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files to my computer. So what I have is I do not talk to the server, but what I have is I have all the files on my computer. And the browser that I'm using just shows these files to me in the way that they're supposed to look. It adds all the JavaScript, it adds all the CSS, it adds all that. But I do not talk to the server directly. What does it mean? That the server just sends me my files. That's it. And then my browser just shows me these files. So we don't have a persistent connection with the server. That means that we cannot share anything just by using HTML, CSS, and JS, because those are static. They only work for us because that is a local copy of the files that the website sent to my computer. However, what if I want to share a logic in between users? So let's say that we use Instagram. If I press on a button that will add a picture to my profile, I want all the users to see it. But since I'm using JavaScript, or HTML, CSS, whatever you want to call it. Since I'm using all that, I cannot do that because I have a local copy of the files. So what I need to do is somehow share the logic in between users. And we use backend for that. That is the basic idea of backend. If you want to share your logic. If you want to also save some data, if you want to add users, if you want to have any kind of logic that has to be shared, you need to use backend because you will never do that in frontend. At least now. And if you want to do backend, what we need is a framework. FastAPI is one framework that we may use. You don't really need to know it because I'm going to show you all the stuff, but what we're going to do today is a simple counter. So whenever you refresh a web page, I refresh it, everything reloads. So what does it mean is that if I do something on the web page, let's say that I don't know, if I do something on the web page, I cannot show it here, but let's say I press a button. When I reload it, it's gonna go away. Okay, so what I need you to do is go to your IDE. I'm gonna use PyCharm and let's open up the terminal and write pip install FastAPI. I already have it installed, but once you have that framework on your system, what you can do is this: from FastAPI, import FastAPI. Then you create an app. App is FastAPI, and now we have to run it. So app is our main application. All of the URLs, all of the things that we're going to do with our backend are going to be here. And what I want you to do is open up your terminal once again. I forgot about that. Let's install UVcorn. UVcorn is a special type of server that allows you to run FastAPI without any problems. So now that you've done that, what you can do is either look down at the comments and see the command that allows you to run your FastAPI without any problems if you don't use PyCharm. Or if you use PyCharm, just open up your configurations, press on plus, and find FastAPI here. Choose the file and press apply. If I press on run right here, once again, you can run it either like this or just copy the comment in the description. If I run it like this, what I can see is a lot of information, but that's just information. It's logs. Basically, like we run this file, we have this server running, all that stuff. But what I see, and what's the most important stuff, is that I see a link. If I press on this link, so if I open it up in my browser, what I can see is detail not found. Why is that? Because we don't have anything in our application yet. It's just a simple FastAPI application without anything at all. So what we want to do is we want to create a URL. let's say that we want to create a URL, github.com, authorize. So authorize, this is our domain. So github.com is the domain that we bought, and authorize is the URL that is gonna be in this application. So authorize is a URL, like it's a unique combination of symbols. I think all you know that. And we're gonna go to that URL and we're gonna do the following: add app.get /authorize async, or let's say def authorize route, and then return hello, just like this. So what did we do? Let's say that github.com is our website. It's our FastAPI website. It's our backend. What we do is we go to the github.com domain. Then we go to /authorize. And once we go there, we have a mapping. We have a route. You see, authorize route here. So basically what we do in FastAPI is whenever there is a request to /authorize, as you can see, /authorize here. And that's a GET request. So in HTTP, we have many requests like GET, PUT, POST, DELETE, all that stuff. But whenever we do a request on /authorize, this function is going to be called. So that's a decorator in Python. I have videos on decorators, so we can watch them to get the meaning of that @ symbol and how all that works. But we basically have a decorator that allows us to call this function whenever there is a user who wants to go to /authorize. So right now, if I rerun my application, so I stop it and I start it again like this, and then I go to /authorize, what's going to happen is I'm going to see hello. Why is that? Because this function, authorize route, was called and it returns hello. So as a user, we see hello right here. That's the basic idea. If I go to, I don't know, login, I'm gonna see detail not found. Why is that? Because we don't have a login handler. We don't have a function that is gonna be called whenever we go to /login, but we have it for /authorize, and that's why I can see hello. So basically, whenever we do a request here, we call this function, and return is the thing that goes to the user. Now what I wanna do is create the counter that we wanted. So let's say /counter, and then let's return, let's call it counter route. It's not mandatory, but it's better to call your functions with names that are very descriptive. Okay, now if I rerun my application and go to /counter right here, so I just change it to /counter and go there, we can see that counter is 0. If I refresh my page, it's still 0. I can refresh it a lot of times, but it's still going to be 0 because we don't change the counter there. But the most important thing is that right now we can receive our data, and I returned a dictionary here. You don't have to do it. You can just return counter just like this. So return counter without anything, but dictionary is just better. I'm not going to explain why it is better right now, but it's better for the future. So you can just leave it as it is. Okay, so what we have here is a counter, and what we need to do is just add 1 to this counter. Counter plus equals 1. That's it. And let's make that counter a global variable. So global counter allows us to change it because it's a global variable. It's not created in the function. It's not local. And if we want to change it, we have to make it global. So global counter. Then counter plus equals 1. Let's run it. And right now what we have to do is update our page. So refresh it. And as you can see, counter is 1. I refresh it again. Counter is 2, 3, 4, 5. So what do we have right now? We have a function that is called every time someone goes to this URL and they use GET request, because once again we have POST, we have DELETE, we have PUT, we have patch. All of those are HTTP requests, and GET is the main request that allows you to get your data. So you want to get your data from your server, and every time we go to /counter, we call this function called counter route. It makes our variable counter global, so we can change it. It adds 1 to the counter, and then it returns a dictionary that has counter as a key and counter variable as a value. And that is the simplest backend that we have. And if another user wants to go to this specific page, of course it's a local page, so this is local, it's only on your computer, but if someone goes to this page, they're still gonna see counter 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, so it's not gonna be reset, and that's the best thing. So right now we shared this data, this counter, in between users. Yeah, that's basically it. So thank you for watching. My name is Andrew. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, and bye bye.